Okay, hey everyone. So my name is Jalen Germany, and this is my project on age and social mobility. Okay, so first we're going to start off with the introduction. So as I said, my name is Jalen Germany, and today I'm going to be exploring the ages of influence and social economic movement in America. So, age isn't just like a biological fact, it's more of like a social marker that affects people and how people are treated, what opportunities they receive, and how much power they hold. So, as you listen, think about how your own age has impacted your access to jobs, income, respect, and influence. Okay, first I'm gonna go over my table of contents. Let me move so you guys can see a little more. I'm gonna go over my table of contents, which is the introduction, understanding key concepts, age discrimination in the workforce, generational wealth, political power and social programs, conflict perspective recaps, student reflections, calls to action, my conclusion, and then my references at the end. Okay, so first we're going to start off with understanding key concepts. So let's start off with age. So age isn't just like biological, it can carry expectations, roles, stereotypes that like shape opportunity and treatment. And then social mobility is the movement of individuals or groups up or down on the social economic ladder. And then we have conflict perspective, which is a theory that views society as a struggle between groups competing for limited resources. Inequality is built into systems and benefits those with power. And then power is the ability of individuals or groups to control resources, policies, and other influence others, And then also we have generational inequity, economic and political gaps between age groups such as wealth, divide between boomers and millennials. And also I'll have the PowerPoint pasted with the link also, so that if you want to follow along with the PowerPoint, you can. So first we're going to start off with age discrimination in the workforce. So age discrimination is a major barrier to social mobility. Employers often assume older workers are slower, less adaptable, or cost more in benefits, leading to forced retirement, demotion, or being overlooked for promotions. In 2023, AARP survey found that nearly 78% of older workers have seen or experienced age discrimination. On the other end of the spectrum, young adults are told that they lack experience even for entry-level jobs. Sociologically, these patterns aren't random. They reflect a conflict perspective where labor is filtered to serve profit-driven interests. Employers manipulate the workforce by choosing who is efficient or cheap rather than who is most qualified. From this lens, age is used to control labor and reduce costs, making both the young and old vulnerable to systemic exclusion. So, some fun facts about basically age discrimination in the workforce is that tech industry trends like workers over 40 report being passed over for roles due to assumption about tech literacy. So basically saying workers who are over the age of 40, usually they aren't passed down those roles because I guess you could say that they are deemed of not being hip to new technology or knowing how to work a computer, things of that age. And then like intersectionality at work, older women and people of color face compounded workplace discrimination. So as you know, like maybe women of color or maybe women, like all older women of like all races, usually they aren't picked for certain job roles just because either they're a person of color or they're a woman. Next, we're going to talk about generational wealth gaps. So, excuse me, generational wealth gaps are not just a result of a person's decisions. They reflect deep systematic differences in opportunity and access. While baby boomers benefit from affordable education, steady jobs, and booming house markets, millennials and Gen Z have entered an economy shaped by high debt, gig labor, and unaffordable housing. According to the Federal Reserve, baby boomers now control over 50% of national wealth, while millennials hold just 6%. Despite being the largest generation in the workforce, that gap shows how generational timing, public policy, and social class interact to limit social mobility. So, for example, in 1981, a median price home cost about 2.5 times the average annual income. Today, it's over 6 times. Older generations gain equity from cheap homes while younger people are locked out of ownership. And another example would be student debt and access to education. So, in 1980s, the average tuition was about 10K a year, which can be adjusted, But in 24, it's 38,000 a year for private colleges. And this right here is just gonna be a graph to show you, like, in this area right here, we have your college graduates, your non-college graduates, and just overall people. And it says the baby boomers. So you have this right here. Okay, now we're going to talk about political power and social programs. From a conflict perspective, age-based political power helps explain why some needs are met and others are ignored. For older adults vote at higher rates, and their voices carry more weight in Washington. That means that like Social Security and Medicaid stay protected, while younger generations face crushing student debt, unaffordable housing, and climate threats with less support. This isn't about blame or power. It's about power. The conflict lens shows that older generations intentionally or not use their political capital to shape a system that prioritizes their needs. To move forward integrational equity, we must increase youth political engagement and rethink how resources are distributed across age groups. Here are some things to think about. Voter turnout by age. Older adults, especially 60 and up, vote at the highest rates. In 2022, midterms, over 70% of boomers voted, compared to only 30 to 40% of Gen Z. Political capital offers the influence individuals or groups have in shaping policy. Older generations have more of it due to high turnout and organized lobbying. Generational investment disparity. Programs like Social Security, Medicare receive stronger protection. Meanwhile, federal investments in programs benefiting the youth, like education, housing, healthcare, has remained flat or declined. Okay, now we're going to go into what is conflict perspective. So basically, how it applies to age and mobility, younger and older generations are often pitted against each other for jobs, resources, and political influence. So basically, things like labor market and social programs are already designed to benefit those who are like and power. And then why it matters is because age-related inequality isn't accidental or just personal, it's systematic. Recognizing this helps us push for policy reform rather than blaming individuals or generations. The conflict perspective is about recognizing how power works. It teaches us that inequality isn't about individual failure, but is built on our institutions. When older and younger generations are put in competition, it benefits those in control by dividing us. We start blaming each other instead of asking who designed these systems and who profits from them. Whether it's access to jobs, healthcare, or housing, these aren't just generational issues, they're power issues. The only way to move forward is through awareness, unity, and pushing for structural change. And then next we're moving on to intersectionality and age. So basically what it is it reminds us that age alone doesn't determine someone's social experience. It's how age combines with other identities like race, gender, or sexual orientation. For instance, older Black and Latino Americans face much higher poverty rates than white seniors due to systematic inequalities throughout life. Older women often retire with far less savings impacted by lower lifetime earnings and unpaid caregiving work. LGBTQ elders may feel unsafe or unwelcome in care facilities, fearing discrimination and lacking family support. These layered changes mean we can't create age-inclusive policies without addressing racism, sexism, and homophobia too. From the AARP in 2023, this is an example. Older Black and Latino Americans are twice as likely to live in poverty compared to older white Americans. Now we're going to talk about how we can make a call to action. So change starts with awareness, but it can't stop there. First, we must increase youth voter turnout. Young people have the numbers, but they need the motivation and access to vote. Their voices are essential in shaping policies on education, healthcare, and labor. Second, we need to build integrational programs that foster unity, not competition, whether it's housing, workplaces, or schools, bringing different age groups together that can create a shared understanding and resilience. Finally, we need to advocate for fair and inclusive policies, ones that ensure equal opportunity regardless of age. That means access to education, healthcare, training, and protection against discrimination. So, for one thing, we can educate young people on policies affecting their futures, which is like basically promote civic engagement through schools, social media, and peer networks. And another thing we could do is advocate for housing and workplace policies that integrate age groups, promote mentorships, and knowledge sharing across generations. Lastly, here's my student reflection, and it's basically just giving what I learned from this. Maybe was it hard, and how will I use this in the future? So for me personally, this project really opened my eyes because I used to think that discrimination only impacted like my elders or like my parents, but I never really thought that it could affect me. But now I realize that younger people like me are also facing major obstacles like being denied opportunities because we're seen as inexperienced or unqualified. What stood out to me most was how deeply these issues are embedded in systems, not just individual attitudes. Sorry.